SuperCarlinBrothers is sponsored by BetterHelp. Every January brings you 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. What do you want your 2025 story to be? Therapy can be your editorial partner, helping you craft the next chapters with purpose. Visit betterhelp.com/super today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/super. Hey, brother! Oh boy, you guys, today we are playing one of my favorite games and trying to answer the internet's most commonly asked questions about the chosen second Ron Weasley. How many do you want to bet are about Lavender Brown? I'm gonna put the over-under at 3.5, so leave your guesses below. But let's go ahead and dive on into why does Ron Google autofill? Hey guys, before we dive into today's video, quick announcement. Ben and I are going to be hosting a live Harry Potter trivia show at the Big Lick Comic-Con on Sunday, February 2nd at 3 p.m. in Roanoke, Virginia, our hometown. So if you happen to be in that area or just want to drive in and come see us and compete, hang out, have a good time at the event, we are going to be there. We will have prizes. You can meet some other Super Carlin Brothers fans. It's going to be a great time. Again, that is 3 p.m. on Sunday, February 2nd at the Big Lick Comic-Con. More information in the description below. Hope to see you there. If you are not familiar with the Google autofill game, it's super easy. We just go into Google, type in why does Ron, and then each letter of the alphabet, and Google fills in the rest of the questions, which I then answer with 100%-ish accuracy. And occasionally Google will throw in like an extra word or modifier at the beginning, but that's okay, we just roll with it. Let's begin! A, why does Ron always step on Hermione's foot? What? Okay, so I didn't really notice this until making this video because as far as I know, it doesn't really happen in the books, but at least in Sorcerer's Stone and in Prisoner of Azkaban, Ron apparently steps on Hermione's foot. But I'm using air quotes there because on the first occasion, she doesn't like stumble or even grimace as the three crowd together beneath the invisibility cloak.
Ow, you stood on my foot.
And then in Prisoner, they are sitting next to each other on the train and Ron's nowhere near her and staring out the window and she says,
"Ouch, Ron, that was my foot."
So like, what is she even talking about? I mean, I guess in both situations, it's supposed to look like maybe Ron is clumsy when he's nervous, maybe, but neither of them really land, so now I just think it's kind of funny. B, why does Ron break up with Lavender? Well, in layman's terms, I think it's called a stage 5 clinger.
He senses my presence.
No, but really it's just because he's way more interested in Hermione, and after the novelty of constantly snogging Lavender wears off, he finds her to be a rather smothersome girlfriend. C, why does Ron come back? Ron's worst moment for sure in the books is when he leaves Harry and Hermione by themselves during the hunt for the Horcruxes. But I don't think we should be too hard on him. A massive part of him leaving was due to the effects of the Locket Horcrux, which affected him worse. And according to Ron, the moment he left, he wanted to come back.
I wanted to come back as soon as I left. I just didn't know how to find you.
And yes, you could argue that Hermione and Harry had to wear it as well, and they managed to get by, but even Dumbledore seemed to have expected something like this. And not because I think he thought any less of Ron, but because he knew Ron, knew what Ron saw in the Mirror of Erised.
Head boy.
He knew that Ron was fraught with insecurities, probably very similar to how his own brother Aberforth felt, and so gave him the Deluminator. Not, as Ron says, because he knew he'd leave, but because, as Harry says, he knew Ron would always want to come back.
Your voice, Hermione, coming out of it.
And what exactly did I say, may I ask?
My name. Just my name.
D, why does Ron date Lavender? Yeah, good question, but obvious answer. It's because she's so good at the window art. E, why does Ron eat so much? Yeah, this is one of those really annoying movie things where they are insistent on constantly showing Ron like just shoveling food into his mouth, and like in the books he does try and talk with his mouth full sometimes, but this is definitely not like a defining character trait of Ron or anything.
Do you ever stop eating?
F, why does Ron foam at the mouth? Duh, because he sees Victor Crumb taking Hermione to the U-Ball. Duh. No, it's actually because after Slughorn saves Ron from the love potion, he then pours Ron and Harry and himself a celebratory glass of oak-matured mead, which, unbeknownst to him, has been poisoned by Draco Malfoy. But Ron, not really caring to wait for the toast, downs it first, and then the poison causes him to foam at the mouth and then nearly die.
These girls, they're gonna kill me.
Gee, why does Ron get to bring a rat?
This is Scabbers, by the way.
That is a great question, because on the Hogwarts acceptance letter, it specifically says you may bring
A cat, an owl, or a toad?
but makes no mention of a rat. Ron just does it anyway. I guess they didn't think anyone would be so bold. Like, why? We probably don't have to mention don't bring a rat on here, right? Like, no one's just gonna do that, right? Because that's the real question, right? Like, why would you want to bring a rat? I mean, like, especially Scabbers. When, like, we visit the magical menagerie in Prisoner of Azkaban, we learn there are actually magical rats, but Scabbers has never displayed any powers other than eventually having that, like, one really bad power where he's actually like a man disguised as vermin.
You're a rat! Scabbers has been in my family for 12 years!
You know what? I heard myself say that. I'm sorry. It's vermin disguised as vermin. Sorry.
Pathetic, isn't he?
H, why does Ron hate spiders? I don't really feel like I need much of a reason, right? Like, you've seen spiders before? No, I know, spiders are like essential and they eat the other bugs and they're good and all, but like I still wouldn't want to be alone in a room full of them. You know?
Harry!
What?
No, but Ron specifically formed a phobia around them after this incident. It's not funny, said Ron fiercely. If you must know, when I was 3, Fred turned my teddy bear into a great big filthy spider because I broke his toy broomstick. You wouldn't like them either if you'd been holding your bear and suddenly it had too many legs. Can't imagine that whole Aragog situation helped.
Goodbye, friend of Hagrid.
Can we panic now?
Yeah, goodbye.
Why spiders? Why couldn't it follow the butterflies?
Why does Ron impersonate? All right, kind of an oddly worded question, to be sure, but Ron does do it a lot, come to think of it. First, it's as Crabbe to try and get information out of Draco Malfoy about the Chamber of Secrets. Then, if we fast forward to book 7, he impersonates Harry as one of the 7 Potters in the Battle of the 7 Potters. Then he uses Polyjuice Potion again to pose as Reg Cattermole to break into the Ministry and try to steal a locket from Umbridge. Then he just straight up lies about his identity as Stan Shunpike when he's kidnapped by the Snatchers, and then he lies to a different group of Snatchers that he is Barney Weasley since he can't fool them that he's not a Weasley. And then finally, he assumes the identity of Dragomir Despard, a fictional foreigner from Transylvania visiting to see Voldemort's new regime, an identity he uses to break into Gringotts. Feels like, I mean, honestly, maybe he should just become an actor. J, why was Ron jealous of Harry? Chosen One, Quidditch Seeker in the first year, Invisibility Cloak, 60 points to his 50, Firebolt, Triwizard Champion, thinks his mom likes him more, thinks Hermione likes him more, has kissing experience, Quidditch Captain, didn't get the Half-Blood Prince copy of Advanced Potion Making, Ginny does like him more, and money. Plus, I mean, all the books are about Harry. Like, how do you think that makes him feel? I'm sure Ron was like, hey, what about Ron Weasley and the time his friend dragged him into a pit of spiders, huh? Where was that? And y'all, we need to take a quick pause right there to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Mando. Fun fact about our headquarters here at SuperCarlinBrothers, it's a 3rd floor walk up. And you know how like in Mario Kart you can race your ghost self and try and get your new best time ever? Well, I do that every day on the stairs, because you never know when you're gonna totally nail that new record. The end result, though, is sweat. But you know what? That happens. We all sweat. Odor, on the other hand, is a different story. Because believe it or not, it's not actually the sweat that smells. Sweat is basically just water. It's that pesky bacteria that gets us. That's where Mando steps in by stopping that bacteria in its darn tracks, meaning it's safe and effective for the whole body. Armpits, feet, elbows? Do elbows smell? I don't know, maybe yours do. You do you. Plus, it is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. And if you want my recommendation, I am partial to the bourbon leather scent. And Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for new listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code SuperCarlin at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Help support our show and tell them we sent you. Link is in the description down below. K, why does Ron kiss Lavender? Oh, hey, remember when I said he was jealous that Harry had experienced kissing? Well, that applies here too, because see, Ron walks in on Ginny and Dean Thomas snogging in a corridor after a match of Quidditch, and Ron gets all bothered by it, but not as bothered as Ginny, who makes him feel extra bad for not having snogged anyone when even Hermione had kissed Crumb, which then simultaneously embarrasses Ron and activates what should be a dead jealousy over Crumb and drives Ron away from Hermione and straight into Lab's waiting arms.
What are you doing here? I might ask you the same question.
L, why does Ron like Hermione? I mean, do I even have to say it?
Hermione's got nice skin.
Yeah. M, why does Ron make it snow? Right, so in the books, Harry has just finished telling Ron and Hermione about how he got the memory from Slughorn by burying a giant, huge spider. While he's doing this, they're in the middle of Charms class, and Ron is listening so intently and is so afraid of spiders. Actually, he's not. He's just really interested in the story. Good job, Harry, for the whole Felix Felicis thing. But the point is, Ron isn't paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing, which is turning vinegar into wine. He's just sort of aimlessly waving his wand around and accidentally making it snow. But then, in the movie, they include this scene as well.
Stop it, Ron. You're making it snow.
And it's also accidental magic, but it is a little bit more reflective of his inner mood at the time, or maybe just perhaps the icy stare Lavender is giving him from across the Great Hall. And why does Ron not get off the knight? I know, right? Like, Ron goes to sacrifice himself. He knows what's gonna happen and he doesn't even get off the horse. Like, although for that matter, he doesn't even get stabbed and he still falls on the floor like a little baby. I mean, come on, Ron. Pfft, Gryffindor indeed. Puff, puff, puff. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't know how the queen was gonna hit him. It might have taken his head off, so.
He's going to sacrifice himself.
No, you can't! There must be another way!
Do you want to stop Snape from getting that stone or not?
Oh, why does Ron say only 3 to go?
Only 3 to go.
I can't tell you guys how many times this one actually came up in the results and I had to keep skipping it. Apparently people are really fixated on this misquote. But to clear things up, this is a movie quote from after they destroyed the locket, and as far as Ron knows, there is only 3 Horcruxes left: Nagini, the cup, and the diadem. It's confusing because we, the audience, know that there are 4 once you include Harry, but the characters in that scene don't know that yet.
There's a reason I can hear them. The Horcruxes.
So, we good? P, why was Ron poor? Okay, I mean, the Weasleys are poor for several reasons, namely the large number of kids and only taking in 1 income, but it's definitely worth noting that Arthur, holds himself back at work because he just really enjoys Muggle artifacts.
Tell me, what exactly is the function of a rubber duck?
But is paid a low salary because the Ministry does not value such thing, which is just an overall reflection of wizarding superiority over Muggles.
Is your time at the Ministry, Arthur? All those extra raids? I do hope they're paying you overtime. Judging by the state of this, I'd say not.
It's also worth bearing in mind that gold is just not as useful to wizards because magic is able to solve a lot of the problems Muggles use money for, and no matter how you slice it, the Weasleys are extremely wealthy where it counts in terms of family and love and just overall kindness.
We have a very different idea about what disgraces the name of wizard, Malfoy.
Q, why does Ron Quidditch? I mean, what kind of question is this? Every wizard kid wants to Quidditch.
I'm Quidditch captain too.
Hello, good. wizard.
I suppose if you want to narrow in though, Ron specifically is a keeper because Charlie and Fred and George used to make him play keeper while they practiced during the summers. Or, why does Ron ride the knight?
I'll be a knight.
Okay, so again, going back to the chess match, this is a movie thing rather than book thing because in the book, the pieces just straight up leave the board entirely and Ron just stands on the square acting as the knight. But then it says he like hops around the board and takes nearly as many pieces as the White Queen, and I'm always imagining, how is Ron doing that? Is he just like getting up to them and being like, could you please move? I can't destroy you, I'm just a little boy.
That's wizard's chess.
That's wizard's chess. I like to imagine he's trying to like tackle them and they're just sort of like, okay, yeah, we get it. I'm dead because of the rules. So it's cool, kid. We're good.
That's wizard's chess.
But I actually like the movie version of this better for two reasons. One, it definitely gives a better impression of Ron as a knight, and as this is his big moment, it's a great representation of his overall bravery.
Yes, Hermione. I think this is gonna be exactly like wizard chess.
And then just from like a gameplay perspective, it would definitely give him a much better vantage point with which to survey the board and make moves, so that's good too. Although I often think that Ron is like good enough at chess that he's really just playing up in his mind anyway. He probably doesn't even need to see the board. S, why does Ron say invisibility cloaks are rare?
It's really rare.
Because they are? I mean, Harry's is literally a one of one, but other than that, traveling cloaks imbued with disillusionment charms or cloth woven from demiguy's hair are also still pretty rare. T, why do they call Ron the King? All right, this is a reference to the Weasley is our king chant sung at the Quidditch matches. Draco Malfoy initially comes up with the chant to try and psych Ron out, as the lyrics are all about how horrible he is at being a keeper. But after Ron lets go his inhibitions and just starts playing well, the Gryffindors then reappropriate the song as one of support, which then bolsters them to victory. U, why does Ron use Imperio?
Imperia!
I totally forgot this happened. It is a movie-only thing. In the books, Ron never actually uses any of the Unforgivable curses, but in the movies, after they break into Gringotts and get washed off by the thief's downfall, Ron is the one who recasts the Imperius curse on the bank teller to help them break into the vault. Harry had been the one to cast it on him originally, so Ron is just like replacing the spell. V, why does Ron vomit slugs? Okay, well, this one's actually a little bit more interesting than you think. In the book, he first just makes a retort to Malfoy about eating slugs, and then a few chapters later, when Malfoy calls Hermione a mudblood, he actually pulls out his wand and tries to use such a curse on him.
Eat slugs!
But of course, as we all know, his wand is broken, so it instead backfires on him and casts it on himself. But what's cool here, in both book and movie, is that Ron doesn't say an incantation at all. Apparently he just like has this idea locked and loaded, points his wand, and then it happens. So at the very least, it's non-verbal magic by second year Ron, which is very cool.
It's disgusting.
But possibly even cooler is that this suggests that the intent rather than the incantation of the spell itself is the more important part of casting the spell. If so facto, I don't even think Ron really even wanted to turn Scabbers yellow, you know, because if he wanted to, it would have just happened, right?
Well, it's not very good, is it?
W, why does Ron Weasley have scars?
You wanna know how I got these scars?
This is actually one of my favorite lines in Harry Potter. The scars in question come from when Ron gets attacked by the brains in the Department of Mysteries. The thought tentacles get wrapped around his arms, and according to Madame Pomfrey, thoughts could leave deeper scarring than almost anything else. Boy, anyone else suffering from anxiety? I'm sure you felt that one. Nothing for X, Y. Who does Ron take to the Yule Ball? Well, this was pretty straightforward. It's the known foaming at the mouth hater, Padma Patil.
Hello, boys.
No, I don't think anyone would want their date to be like foaming at the mouth, so. Also, that's not what happened. But fun fact about Padma is that in an alternate timeline in The Cursed Child, he actually marries her, so.
Don't you look dashing?
There you go. At least in one version of the story it works out.
Are you going to ask me to dance or not?
No.
And last but not least, Z. What is Ron's zodiac sign? Well, Ron's birthday is on March 1st, meaning he is a Pisces, and according to Google AI, so it must be right, Pisces is a water sign, and water signs are known for being intuitive, empathic, and emotionally deep.
One person couldn't feel all that. It'd explode.
Just because you've got the emotional range of a teaspoon.
Nailed it. Pisces are also known for being imaginative and adventurous, which I guess that one sounds about right. Makes sense for like being good at chess then. And finally, Pisces are known for struggling to balance reality and fantasy.
Hello, good.
Okay, Google AI, I'm gonna give you 2 for 3 on that, but actually I'm gonna go ahead and deduct a point because you're literally called Gemini, which is a different zodiac sign, so I feel you should be a little bit better, okay? But there you go, guys. That is what the internet most wanted to know about why does Ron Weasley do anything. These socks are amazing! Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Google autofill videos from us. If you'd like to suggest different characters from any fandom, by the way, that we should do Google autofills on, make sure you leave those suggestions in the towel section down below. And if you want to see our entire series, What If Ron Was in Hufflepuff, you can check out that full compilation video right here. But otherwise, Ben, until next time, I will see you in another life, brother.